Hi, everyone. Dr. Linda Pajoel, thank you for joining us. You've worn many hats: educator, author, CEO. Could you start by sharing your background and the journey that brought you to founding Investornomy?
Well, thank you very much, Ashley. And I'll just try to tell you the shorter version of that story. But a couple of years ago, I was a businesswoman doing my business going well. So everything was going good. At this point, I'm not a mom yet. So I really wanted, I started looking for something that could make me money on the side, even when I am not able to show up. Specifically, I was a bit afraid that maybe if I get pregnant, who knows what will happen to my face and how it's going to be. I may not be able to come on screen, then that can affect my finances. So that was like the root cause of that desire. And to solve this problem, okay, first of all, I wanted to something that will make money for me, right? While I can, whether I show up or not. And to solve the problem, I decided that, you know what, I'm going to start a second business. I'll hire a bunch of people, give them money to do this business, right? That means I can make money without me being there. But it flopped. I mean, because being a founder is a bit different. You have to come up with ideas all the time. It's not really so easy to just hire people and just assume they're going to take your dream to the moon without you being there. So but one thing I also realized was that during this process, my stress level doubled because now I went from managing a full business to managing two businesses, like still being involved with the second business. So I just knew that, okay, this wasn't working. But from the stress and everything, something happened. I had some hospitalization there, but what was interesting was that while all this was happening and I couldn't work and my worst fear has come to pass, that same year, my stock investment made 46% return on investment.
Wow.
So it was like, wow, I'm busy trying to see how I can start a second business, so, something that can bring me money whether I'm there or not. But there's something that is already doing it. So it was like an epiphany. So I decided that, you know what, I'm going to, focus on stock investing and all of that.
Wow. I love that you articulated that epiphany moment. And at the same time, you were planning, to try to be ahead of all of that. And
Mhm.
it's such an interesting combination. I come from a math and technology background, and translating data into that real world setting, as much as you try to prepare, those real world applications can really open the eyes for our students to opportunities in finance. So, how has your own education and skill set shaped you in teaching investing?
I get it. Like I'm a dentist by background. I would say a former dentist because I don't practice anymore. I'm fully into investing now. But after dental school, I did go to University of Waterloo where I did my graduate studies. Specifically, I was studying public health and health systems, but it was as if I was doing teaching as a minor because I did four certifications, University of Waterloo related certifications in teaching, specifically university teaching. So I thank God that my background from University of Waterloo learning how to teach is now helping me to teach properly.
Can you tell us more about how you started as a dentist? You've had so many different roles, but you started as a dentist and then made your way into finance. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah. Okay. So by the time I was done with high school, right? This is a bit of bragging here, but necessary. I was the best graduating student from my high school, and it's expected that you go and read, like pharmacy, medicine, dentistry, those kind of courses, especially for someone in science classes that attended science classes. So, and that was exactly what I did, and I went to read dentistry. But I noticed that while I was still in dental school, I was drawn to things that have to do with like, speaking, talking to people. So while I was still in dental school, I started getting involved with community work. They were really dental related. Like you go out to talk to people about dentistry and, go to TVs as well, go to communities as well. So by the time I finished dental school, I like the following year, I was already applying to do public health masters because I felt like that was more of where I saw myself, something that has to do with public health. So that was what led me to University of Waterloo and I studied public health. But then I also discovered that the public health, say in Canada, that's where University of Waterloo is more into running data and working with your laptop. versus the public health I was like getting involved with in Nigeria, which is my original country, where you have to do with community. So there was a mismatch between what I thought I was coming to study and what I was studying. So I did my master's, started my PhD, and eventually dropped out of PhD to start my business. And that was the business that had to do with personal brand that I was talking about. Basically, the business I was teaching students how to get scholarship, like how to get scholarship, because I got scholarship at University of Waterloo to teach students how to get scholarship. Anyway, but the summary, and I've already talked about how I got into the investornomy, which is that business was doing well, but then I have to start a family, and I was now looking for what can I do that will give me money so that even when I'm not able to appear on screen or attend this event, I can still make money. That was how I entered into investing. But one thing, like, what is the connecting factor in all these pivots that I've had, is that is like searching for what is it that make your heart move, right? And you can start something, but don't feel stuck. If you find something else that you feel, oh, I'm more drawn to this thing, it's okay to explore it. And sometimes it may not even work out as you wished, and that's still not the end. You can still try something else. So that's what has been happening with me.
And I like how in your journey you talked about the passion that,
Mhm.
your passion, you pivoted based on what your interest and what your passion was and finding that alignment. It's really great. That'll really resonate with the students. Thank you for so much for sharing that. Well, you've written a book called Stock Market Mama. And I have a young daughter, and we talk all the time about whether or not the bull or the bear won for the day. And investment literacy is so important, of course, here at Rock the Street, Wall Street, and to me personally. What inspired you to write this book? And who did you picture as your reader?
I actually have two books, but Stock Market Mama is the first one. I was in the hospital and I saw women. That was the real thing that made me to write this book. Like, I
Mm.
was writing this book while I was still pregnant. After like I was back from hospitalization, I was at home and I've started writing this book. So the hospital experience inspired me to write this book. And the book is focused on teaching women how to use investment income to cover up for motherhood related income interruption. So that's the book. So the person I was picturing is an adult, not necessarily a mother, a female adult, right? Anybody above 18. Because the way I saw it was that if you're already pregnant and you're going through this thing, it's like you're already in the mess, right? What if you could plan way ahead of time? What if you could start investing even before you get married, or even before you start thinking of starting a family? So even if you already have kids, you can still read the book. So that's the person I was focusing on. But what if somebody is below 18? Maybe they're not really thinking of motherhood anytime soon. So, like, I have this book, or we call it Pure Beginner's Guide to Stock Market Investing. It is more basic, and it teaches somebody like who may not understand all these like investing jargons or anything, adults, anything somebody that is sophisticated will understand, but they may not be able to understand it. So for, let's say, teenagers, for example, they can read this one. Say teenagers, because it's basic. All right. So I think I've answered the question focusing on women, but then there's something else for people who are not adults yet.
Yeah, I could not agree more that compounding, it's one of my favorite words.
Mhm,
So that the value of time is so large in investing, but you're right. If you haven't started, today's a good day. And
mhm,
so compounding is something that I'm particularly passionate about. And what you mentioned as far as the lexicon in the industry and understanding what those different terms are, it's so critical as well to build
mhm.
that confidence and to be able to, participate in conversations. So can you share with us maybe two quick wins from your books and small steps that someone can take now that can make a
Mhm.
big impact in their financial future?
Thank you. So the first one will be learn how to invest, or learn wealth building in general. So I would definitely say that one thing I shared the story in the stock market man book anyways. So one thing somebody can really do is to learn how to invest. No, because if you start putting your money and you don't know what you're doing, the end result is almost guaranteed losses, right? And nobody's investing with the goal of making losses. So learning is one thing somebody can do today. The second one will be, let's see, I tried to read that down. Okay, the second one will be to start now. You mentioned compounding because time is one of the things that can help you win a lot. Somebody that started investing 2 years ago versus somebody that started investing 12 years ago. The person that started investing 12 years ago, all things being equal, is likely to have made more from investment, right? Assuming they all know what they are doing. But so the point is, don't wait to start later. Start now. I mean, even if it's the learning, even if you're not investing now, you can start the learning now, right? So those are the two things.
Wonderful. You're CEO, you're an educator, you're an investor. What does your typical day look like? Or do you even have a typical day?
Oh, well, I don't have a typical day because every day tends to be different, but yet there's some kind of, let's say, pattern, right? So I've divided it into, say, morning, afternoon, and night. So most times my morning, I wake up, I check what is happening in the stock market, in stock market news, and see what's going on there. Okay, the afternoons, most times meetings, interviews, or maybe if I have an event to attend, that's majorly my afternoon. And also researching stocks because sometimes that's part of my work, or maybe responding to if a student have some critical questions that may require my attention, something we haven't maybe we haven't come across before, I do chip in on that. Then at night is spending time with my daughter. I have a baby girl. Well, much younger than yours. So she's about 2 years now. So I spend time with my daughter, and I watch a lot of movies and I learn a lot from movies. Anyway, that's what my day looks like.
Well, we of course have students that probably also do that and are glad to
Yeah.
hear that they aren't the only ones. We have students that have submitted questions and they wonder how to balance the learning aspect, both our university students, our high school students, our young professionals. They're
Mhm.
still looking at how to balance learning, their career building, and life outside of work. How have you navigated those demands in your own journey?
Yeah, it can be pretty tough, especially when you have competing needs. And I think one thing that is easy to do is then to get overwhelmed and to get shut down. But one thing I do when there's so many things, and like, having a baby, having a business, having yourself to deal with. So slow down and then take it one step after another, because if you keep moving, you are going to continue to make progress. It is better than stopping as well. So slow down, not stop and not moving too fast.
And what maybe building on that is a habit or possibly even a mindset that has served you most in your career to keep it moving. And
Yes, I have this saying that I repeat to myself sometimes, which is when the going gets tough, only the tough gets going. So I remind myself that it's tough now, but you are tough too. So the tough gets going. So it just puts me in that mental state to keep moving.
wonderful. Thank you so much. To close, what's one thing that you would share with our students as they start building wealth and confidence?
Okay, the first step, I believe they're already taking that, which is engaging with Rock the Street, Wall Street Financial Center. So for me, I think that is good is because putting yourself in that environment where you're listening to CEOs, engaging with, moving with people who have that mindset, that investing mindset, wealth building mindset is very important because your environment plays a great role, and they're already doing that. So on top of that, something else I would suggest is read more books, especially wealth building books. When some of the books that set me on the path of thinking of finance, that even first year in college, I was already investing. Like those days I read like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Richest Man in Babylon. They are basic books. And thanks to my brother bought those books for me. I read them, but it made me to start saving, made me to start thinking of investing. You understand? Like I wasn't even really like investing much then, but those books helped. So I would say anyone who is listening now, read more finance books, wealth building books. It will help.
That's wonderful. Thank you for this conversation. And just as a reminder to our students, it is powerful for you to arm yourself with knowledge and to continue learning.
Mhm.
So take the first step, stay curious, and know that this industry is something that can benefit from your insights.